Today's podcast guest played professional rugby for more than a decade, and he's played at 10 different clubs. He's narrowly missed out on multiple games at Wembley Stadium, and he now owns an incredibly successful mortgage advisory company. James Green has been through the very best of a sporting career.
He saw something in me before we'd even played a game, give me another 2 years.
And also the very worst.
My two opportunities at Wembley, I couldn't make it for two different reasons. Injury-wise, ruptured my collarbones, I got 2 screws in that and an artificial ligament. But I mean, I was only chatting to my wife about it yesterday, was like, I look at some lads that I played rugby with that can't do day-to-day tasks.
Why go from the physical challenge of rugby to the mental gymnastics of running a business? And why do all of this, as James now explains, right at the start of a pandemic?
There's always a challenge. So in the 6 years that I've been like fully independent, we've gone through COVID, we'd gone through the Liz Truss budget with the war in Ukraine, and obviously now the war in Iran and renters' rights. So there's always something to work around. So it's just another day in the office, really.
Perfect timing, isn't it, for a bit of a roller coaster?
Well, that's it. Like I kind of retired from rugby because I kind of got sick of that roller coaster, and now I'm sat on another one. So it's just like, yeah, just seems to just attract stress, I think.
How does the two work together, the rugby then?
Well, they kind of weirdly went hand in hand. So I'd had 12 years playing pro rugby. The last 2 years were part-time. But during those last 3 years, so 1 year's full-time, 2 years part-time, I'd started advising then anyway. So it gave me that springboard to find clients, because like a lot of my early clients were like die-hard rugby fans.
Yeah.
They didn't know if I was a good mortgage advisor or not. They just knew me as the rugby player. And it's like, oh, you do my mortgage. So that kind of like got me going. But then I had like quite a big circle anyway, because I was still playing rugby. So I had all the lads to talk to. And then you'd get the lads to share it on social media. And obviously they've got their following. So it just kind of snowballed from there, really. But then ultimately give it up in 2021 because business had built quicker than I expected.
Yeah.
So something had to give. So I was working 9 to 5 during the day, training on a night, client appointments on a night. So it was just too much. So retired September 21 and then just went all in on this and not look back.
So what was the professional career like, the 12 years? What was that look like?
Pretty rocky as well. So I was the last one of my age group to sign professionally at Hull KR at 16. So didn't think that was ever going to happen. So I signed at 16. I actually got signed the year Hull KR got promoted the first time, and it was a case of that's when the licensing came out. So they had a reserve team, but that was it. So if they stayed up in Super League, they then had to create an academy, which was like 18 and below.
Yeah.
From scratch, basically. So they basically went out and signed 20, 30 players in one go, which I got swept up in. Whereas like Hull FC that were quite established, they'd pick up the best 5 or 6 every year because they already had an established group. So kind of got fortunate with that. Worked my way through all the academy and reserve grade, and I got to the point where I was too old for the reserves. So they either said, like, well, you've either got to sign for the first team or we're going to have to let you go. So I had like one last year, again, the last of that group to get signed to a first team contract. Signed there, and then Craig Sandercock came in. He saw something in me before we'd even played a game, give me another 2 years contract. So I had like 3 years to really bed myself in and make a go of it. And then I think the last year of that contract, played every game that season.
Yeah.
And then Neil Hunch'll give me a new contract. So I got another 2 years. And then 2016 was the year they got relegated then. So my contract was null and void. Went to the Lee Centurions, who got promoted that year. Got relegated with them. Null and void. So within 12 months, I got made redundant twice. I always knew I'd have to do something after rugby anyway, because obviously rugby can't do it forever. But then realising like even my contracts weren't security, so I thought I need something in case this happens again. And then just found property whilst I was like preparing for life after rugby and loved it. So I went into mortgage advising, and then that kind of bridged the gap as my money started to dwindle from rugby. That started to build up, and then kind of surpassed that in 2021 and walked away on my own terms, which was nice.
Good. Did your body take a bit of a battering in the rugby?
But like touch wood, like nothing too severe. There's no like lasting damage. I mean, facial scars, obviously got those, which is like kind of another reason why I give it up as well, because I play rugby on a Sunday and I could have like an eye out here, and then I'm having an appointment with somebody on a Monday, and it's like, for those that knew me, it's like they knew what happened and they'd find it funny, but when you're meeting people for the first time and like your mortgage advisor's turning up with a black eye, you're like, don't know if I trust this guy.
Yeah, I wonder what message it sends.
Yeah, it looks like I've been filled in like round town or something. So that was kind of like another reason that it had to go. But so yeah, I mean, like injury wise, it was more upper body stuff, obviously like from the contact.
Yeah.
Tore my hamstring once, still got a hole in that from it not repairing properly. Ruptured my collarbones. I've got 2 screws in that and an artificial ligament. But I mean, I was only chatting to my wife about it yesterday. Was like, I look at some like lads that I played rugby with who played a lot longer than I did, can't do day-to-day tasks now.
Yeah, that must be hard.
Like just like picking up your kids or like doing this or doing that. And I'm fortunate where I've got all my faculties. I can still do everything, still live a full life. But I did retire at 30, so I feel like I got out at the right time.
How do you feel about that? Because you were saying about how, you was earning money doing rugby and then you had to build up the business. How does it appear in rugby, when like you look at the comparable football players,
Yeah.
And the physical effort that you rugby guys have to put in compared to them and
Yeah.
the remuneration? What's your take on that?
I mean, it's where the followers are, isn't it? So football attracts more eyeballs than rugby league does, which I would say rugby league's better to watch. I can't really get into football, but that's where the majority is. That's where the sponsorship is, the TV rights and stuff. So you just hope with where rugby league is right now and the changes they're making with the governing body that can then project the sport and put it on the stage that I think it deserves. But until that happens, it's always going to be a working man's sport with working man's wages. So it's always funny, like you do like promotional events in like the local schools and stuff, and the kids would be like asking you like, "Oh, where's your Ferrari and stuff?" And I'm like, first of all, I won't fit in a Ferrari, but what do you think I earn? Like really? Like you explain it to people that don't know the sport, and it's a salary cap sport. You've got, what is it today, 2.1 million to pay 30 players. So if everyone gets an even cut, that's 70 grand a year, which is a great working class salary, but it's not life changing. But then I see the football schedule and it's like Man City, they'll play like 60 odd games in a year. You play over Christmas, you play over New Year, you get a 3-week break before you're back in for pre-season. So it is justified to a level. But yeah, I wouldn't have minded a slice of it.
Yeah, because if you'd have done that pro level until you were 30, you'd have been reasonably okay, wouldn't you?
Or even rugby union, yeah. Rugby union salary cap's 4 times what the rugby league one is.
Is it?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know that.
Or if you go to France, there's no salary cap whatsoever, which is why you see all the big stars go into all the French teams. So yeah, life could have been very different if I'd have played either of those 2 sports rather than rugby league.
You didn't fancy a transition to rugby union then?
It was never really on the cards. Like living in Hull, it was like obviously having Hull and Rovers. That was the dominant sport. So we didn't even really play rugby union at school either. So I never got exposed to it. I mean, all my family are like diehard Hull FC fans.
Yeah.
So like I was going to like rugby games when I was like 3 months old. So I had no real choice. And then when you're like twice the size of all the other kids, and then you start playing with other kids, and one of the dads was like, "Oh, we could do with a lad your size," because he had 2 tiny little kids, and they were just getting bullied every week. So they approached my dad, and my dad was like, "Fancy giving rugby a go?" And then yeah, just fell in love with it then at 8 years old, and retired at 30. So yeah,
that's not a bad innings.
no.
I was just struck by they said that all the family are all FC fans, and then you were playing for OKR.
Yeah.
How did that work out?
So, I mean, Hull FC was never an option at academy level. They showed no interest. I think my parents were okay with that. They always openly said whenever we'd play in a derby, whether at academy or first team level, was we support 18 players. We support the 17 from FC and then just you, and that is it. We made the Challenge Cup final in 2015 when I was there, and my parents would openly say we'll never wear the badge. We won't wear the badge, but we'll wear the colours. So my mum had like a red top on and like some white trousers, or the other way around. I can't remember what it was, and that's the closest they got to wearing something.
Sounds like a right political conundrum within the family.
Oh, I still am the black sheep, to be fair, because now I've gone through the entire system.
Yeah.
I am firmly a Hull KR fan now because we were always like little old Hull KR. We didn't have the academy, we didn't have the stadium. We'd been a year in Super League. We was always like the the looked down upon one. So you kind of had that chip on your shoulder from then, which has just stuck ever since. And then now things have turned massively. Hull KR is now the big brother out this.
Oh, absolutely.
It's so yeah, it stuck with me, but it makes for some interesting conversations in our house because they've fallen off for the last 5 years, haven't they? So
I suppose part of that is enjoying the journey, isn't it? Not be too focused on the end and have a sort of vision of the end, but like enjoy the journey as well.
well, that's it. Like I know, like when you speak to Neil, like he's always had that ambition to get Hull KR back to what they were in the 80s, where it was like multiple trophies for multiple years. Honestly, did he think it would ever happen? Who knows? But that was what his goal's always been, and he's got there now. But the goal is to repeat it. So you've got to love it to stick it out for 30 years, which was what I took from it. But yeah, he definitely deserves it now.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think he's made a huge difference, hasn't he?
Oh,
Again,
100%.
just from our limited knowledge of it from the outside, it just looks as it's been transformative.
And I think he's got the right help around him now, like Paul Lakin coming on board, like Craig Franklin, who sadly like moved on to pastures new now. Like he'd been there 10, 12 years. He played a huge part, so they're going to miss him. They're obviously getting the coach that they got. He now needs replacing, so he's getting tested again now, which I mean we all do in all lines of work, don't we? But this is a hobby for him as well. He's still got his own business to run as well, so he's a better man than I am.
Yeah, and of course you've got your business now.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you've taken from that experience at Hull KR in terms of just running the business that influences the way you deal with stuff now?
Yeah, I think obviously coming from a team sport to now doing what I do is I think team and the people that you surround yourself with are huge. I went through a period where I did everything, like from start to finish, like finding clients, advising, the admin, the follow up, everything. Whereas now we have people that's their sole job, and if you do want to build something, you need better people than you around you. So some of the jobs that I've offloaded was quite easy because I hated that part of the job. But then I found people that also love doing that, but are also way better at it than I am.
Yeah.
So it's just constantly trying to find people that are the experts, and then trying to get them to work together as well. So it's a strange one for me because I never went into coaching. I had no desire to, but I feel like I'm doing that now as a business owner because I'm trying to step away from the day to day. So I'm going from the player to the coach now. So it's a bit of an adjustment for me, but it's one that I'm enjoying. Yeah.
So I suppose if you've got people in your team, you've got to decide who's going to be the striker, who's going to be the defender, who's going to be the goalie, and play to their skill sets, haven't you?
Well, that's it. Like, there's a good example of that at the moment. So we've got Charlie, who's one of our administrators. She's always wanted to become an advisor, and she's spent the last 2 and a bit years in the admin role. So she's kind of like learned everything behind the scenes. She's done her training now, and she's now advising clients. But she's seen every bit of the business now. So now when she starts advising people, like someone asks her a question, and she can just reel off the answer straight away because she's had that exposure to it. But we reached a point where it's like we need to move her now because she's ready, and it's not the best use of her time being there, and it's not the right seat for her either. So now that she's moved over to the advising role, like she's just grown into this whole new person. So I think it's putting the right people in the right seats as well.
Yeah, it feels like a bit of Red Bull giving him wings, isn't it?
That's it, and it's I found the hardest bit for me is me slowing down a little bit because something will come across your desk and you think, oh, it's easy for me to do it. I'll just do it. And then you've got 30 things on your to-do list, but you think, no, if this business is going to go anywhere, we need other people to do it as well. So you're having to slow down and teach them step by step and repeat yourself over and over again until it becomes second nature for them. So that's the bit that I'm working on at the minute.
So delegation's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, some things were really easy to delegate. I'm terrible at social media. I don't post on my own. I'm not very creative, hence why I'm a mortgage advisor. So that was easy to delegate. I hated the compliance side of the job. That was easy to give up. It's the advice bit, the client facing bit that I'm struggling to hand over. But we've got Chris, who's our senior advisor. We've got Charlie in training. So I'm doing it bit by bit. It's just taking me a bit longer than what I thought it would. But I can imagine every business goes through that.
How often do you find yourself sort of just grabbing it back and taking a bit of control on a job?
It depends on what it is. Because of what we do, like I have a lot of like portfolio landlords that have got like 20, 30 properties. I keep hold of those ones because in the time it takes for me to explain to one of the other guys, this is their portfolio, this is how it's made up, this is how they've done it, I could have found a recommendation and put the application in by that point. So that sort of stuff I keep with me, but I'm trying to expose people to different side of things because we can do some like weird and wonderful and pretty complex stuff. So it's like it's just introducing that at the right time. Um, but yeah, I think when you're under the pump a little bit, you go
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to your old ways, don't you? Because it's just the easy way of doing it. So yeah, when I'm really busy, I'll tend to do that. When I don't have too much on, I can give more away. So that's something I'm battling with. Yeah.
Because somebody told me many years ago, and I think I've probably tried to apply it myself, is the aim of business is to make yourself dispensable in your own business.
That's it. I have no intentions of selling the business, but if I ever did, then it's only worth what it produces without me. If you take me out, then it's worth nothing. So I'm trying to build the business where we've got end to end control.
And you said that when you set up when you had COVID, and then we had, what was it, the Ukraine war and everything else. What was all that taught you, that sort of roller coaster?
I think just things will pass. It's like nothing's ever permanent, good or bad. So I worked under somebody else's umbrella from 2018 to 2020. The Christmas of 2019 is like, right, I'm going to go on my own now. Like, I'll get full control. I can do things how I want to do it. I'll get the full piece of the pie of what comes in. So I put my application into the FCA in January. They signed me off in the March of 2020. So I got all my branding done, got my business card, ready to take the world on. A week later, we're going to lockdown.
Great
So I'm
timing.
like, right, okay. Fortunately, I still had my rugby money coming in. I had a few properties in my portfolio by that point, so they were bringing money in as well. And my wife was a key worker, so financially we were fine.
Yeah.
The rugby season got cancelled because we were part-time, so we couldn't play behind closed doors like the Super League did. So we got put on furlough for a full year. So I got a taste of like being retired and just
Yeah.
working. So I quite like this. And then, yeah, when that first lockdown opened, the housing market just exploded. It's like you couldn't go down to your parents' house for tea, but you could go buy a property.
Yeah.
It was just insane. And rates were the lowest they'd ever been. So I got like swept up again, kind of like when I got signed at Rovers, got swept up by good fortune, built a big client bank really quickly. And then that's just kind of carried me ever since. But yeah, we had people like every man and his dog wanted to buy a house because the rates were the best they've been in 300 years. So it's like the opportunity of a lifetime. That was easy. Like you could show anybody any recommendation. It was like the best thing they'd ever seen. It's like, yeah, let's go for it. So then when things kind of changed in 2022, 23, when the budget came out, I felt like I actually earned my stripes as an advisor because I was then advising people that had gone from 1% to like 5%.
Yeah.
And you had to explain things better, and you had to say, like, look, this is my research. Like, there is no better than this. So I think I learned a lot. I think I learned more in that time when things were hard than when it was easy. So then when things eased again, you felt like you were skiing downhill again. It was amazing. So you just need to kind of hold your nerve. You learn to empathise with people and explain that to them properly, which then puts you in good stead because when things do improve, as soon as you make a recommendation again, it's like, I trusted you from when you looked after me when things were really bad. I trust you again now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's been a really good learning curve, but I'm better for it.
Yeah, I'm sat here thinking, oh, well, COVID must have been a real negative setting up, but then I remember that boom of property. So
Yeah, it was
you
crazy.
almost just caught the wave, didn't you?
Yeah, because you had the stamp duty holiday. You had rates with like a zero. It was like point something percent. So a guy rang me actually. I did his mortgage for him 5 years ago. And it was up for renewal, and it was like 0.89%. It was like unheard of. So obviously he's panicking now because it's going to go to like 4%. But yeah, it was just so easy. I mean, providing the lenders were there to lend. I remember when COVID first hit, the only high street lender that was lending was at HSBC, and they had tranches of money. So they had so many million every day that you could get, and brokers all across the country were logging in and going in a queue. So that was the only mortgage option you could get. You'd go in a queue, and once it had gone, it had gone.
Yeah.
So everyone would log in at 8 o'clock. It'd either crash the system, or you would be number 4,000 and whatever in the queue, and you get right to the front, and the one you wanted had gone, and you had to start again the next day. And it was just crazy. We were losing business to people that could guarantee that we could get you a HSBC mortgage. Nobody can guarantee it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just wild now when you think about it.
So what's your take now then as we're going on this bit of the roller coaster with sort of an orange-faced gentleman in America
Yeah.
deciding to attack Iran? What's
Yeah, I get the same three questions over and over again at the moment is, what are rates at the minute? When are they coming down? And when's it gonna happen? Um, we just don't know. It's, people can't comprehend how what's happening over there then impacts mortgage interest rates. It's like I'm not getting a mortgage from Iran, or
yeah,
oil's not going into my mortgage or anything like that. It's just a general uncertainty in the overall like money markets. But um, we have seen in the last 2 weeks, at the time of like recording this, lenders have started to reduce their rates. The Bank of England themselves haven't changed anything.
right?
The Bank of England only tend to get involved when it's really necessary, because once they pull their lever, it impacts everybody, whether it be credit cards, loans, as well as mortgages. Whereas the big debts like your mortgages, lenders have took it in their own hands, but they went up and up and up. When that sounds worse than what it is. It was only like incremental changes. They're now starting to come back down again, but it's all off the back of what he tweets, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
he controls his own social media. So if he puts a post out about something, everyone like runs for the bunkers, don't they? But yeah, it all depends how long it rumbles on for, really.
I think it's phenomenal that the economy and stuff like that can respond to a tweet. I mean, if you go back sort of 30 years, could you contemplate that there'd be such a political and financial roller coaster based on somebody's social media output?
How many arguments does it cause as well? Like, what did he tweet the other week that he's going to bomb Iran back to the Stone Age and stuff? It's like that's not a meeting he's had with another leader. That's something he's just thrown out on Twitter. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's insane, but it's another one of those blips. Like I said, the war in Ukraine, which is still actively going on, you just don't hear about it as much because of all the other stuff that's going on. That had its initial impact on rates, which that then subsided. So it's just another thing that will pass. It's just a matter of when.
What's your thoughts then? Do you think it's good to hold at the moment, or
It depends what you're looking to do. So people always ask that question as well. Is now the right time to buy? I mean, if it's going to be your home, then there is no right or wrong time. Is the house where you want to live? Does the house give you everything you want to need that you need? Are you willing to pay that price for it? Because if you are, then timing shouldn't really matter. Because what you tend to find is when rates come down, competition goes up. So you might save £100 a month on the mortgage initially, but you've had to pay an extra 10,000, 20,000 for that same property. So it's all kind of relative.
yeah,
I would say spot the opportunity. If rates have gone up, you've got less competition, so you can get the property at a half decent price. You will then see the benefit when rates fall after you've already bought the property, because you're not having to fight for other people for it. The average mortgage term now, residentially, is 35 years. People normally take a mortgage out for 2 or 5 years at a time. So 2 years from now, that'll look completely different. But you've missed the opportunity because you were
yeah,
too worried about the rates. So if people are looking to flip properties, then quite possibly what terms you can get on a mortgage might dictate when you do it, and the demand as well, because you don't want to be sat with a property that you've got all your money tied up into and you can't find a buyer for it. But if it's for you to live in, or you're going to invest for the long term, just ride the wave. You look at the stock market, don't you? Those people get paid billions to predict the market, and they don't get it right.
no,
So
no,
what chance have we got?
yeah. Stock market predictions and weathermen, they never quite get it right, do they?
No. So and they're playing with other people's money, not their own.
Mm.
So what makes you think that you can predict it better than they can? You're best off just being in the market than trying to time it.
Yeah, so just do what you need to do as an individual, and it'll level out in time, won't it?
Well, that's it. Like I bought my house 3 years ago, as it all kicked off with Ukraine. So I'd sorted my mortgage at one point. So it's going to be this. My sale fell through, so I had to do it again, and it jumped up massively. But I knew, as hard as it would be to manage that payment for the next 2 years, I knew things would change. Fast forward to now, my mortgage payments have come down £250 a month. I would have missed out on the house that I now
Yeah,
love
yeah.
living in if I'd have waited for the right time, because somebody else would have bought it instead of me. So I'm now reaping that benefit 2 years later. So I think it's just holding your nerve. We said to people, if you go on a long haul flight, you're probably going to get some turbulence at some point. You're not reaching for the emergency exit at that point, are you? You just put your seatbelt on and just see it through. Buying a house and investing should be the exact same thing. Don't be chucking yourself out the plane for a bit of turbulence.
Yeah. So what would be, I mean, if you think about sort of landlords at the moment, you know, those who have either got portfolios or just one or two.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts for them in terms of, one, the sort of financial landscape, and then the introduction of like the Renters Reform Act?
So we're seeing quite a shift in behaviour, really, because you've got your landlords that have been in the game for 30 plus years. They were buying houses in the 90s where there was self-certification mortgages. You could buy an investment property with like next to no deposit. Tenants had no rights, so if you were unhappy with them, you could just turf them out. The tax laws were really lenient, and then as time's gone on, tax laws have changed, renters' rights have changed, rates have changed, all that sort of thing. We're seeing the older generation of landlord now kind of stepping away from it. They've probably had their money from the portfolio. They've had enough of the stress of it, so they're selling up now.
Right.
But we're seeing kind of like this pocket of like young investor who have spotted the opportunity, because I think now there's more courses than ever, more information to get into property investing. So people are finding new and more inventive ways of investing through property now. So we're seeing like this new generation of investors come through. We're seeing a lot of tenants getting the opportunity to buy their property from the landlord because they're wanting to get out of investing now.
Yeah.
It's easier for them to sell to their tenant at a discount because they don't need to serve a notice, which they may or may not be able to do right now. They don't have a property that's sat empty with no money coming in. They don't have to maintain the property to get it in a condition to sell, and they don't have to pay an estate agent to do it either. So if they can sacrifice 5 or 10% of the equity, the gifting the tenant the deposit, tenant pays the rent up until completion, so the money coming in, and then they've got a buyer ready made. So we're seeing a big increase in that at the moment. Seeing a big uptick in serviced accommodation now as well. So the standard buy to let, like your vanilla ones, I would call them, the returns aren't there like they used to be. So people are now going down the Airbnb route or letting to contractors on a fully serviced basis. So rather than get £600 a month for a property, you might get £60 a night.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a big increase in that at the minute as well. But yeah, I think just with the renters right, Billy, I think it's just another shot for landlords to have to take and deal with, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, if you was somebody sat on a property now, you've got an investment property as a landlord, and you can either put a tenant in it or you can sell it. It's empty at the moment. What would you think would be the best thing to do?
We always say to people, start with the end in mind. So we get people say, I want to invest in property. It's like, why? What do you want to get from it? Some people want to replace an income, so they want high yielding properties, maybe an interest only mortgage to maximise the return. Some people want to build something for retirement, so they've got 20 or 30 years to build a portfolio, but build the equity as well. So what do you want from this property? Like, what's your long-term goal? Because if you're looking to hold it forever and you've got a half decent tenant, then just keep hold of it. If that property is not performing very well, so if the rent's not covering the mortgage payment too much, or maybe the tenant's a bit of an issue or a headache for you, the property needs a bit of work and you're not the one willing to spend the money on it, then you might want to sell it to someone that can do all those things with it. If you've got the good tenant, it doesn't cause you any problems, it's just ticking along nicely, then absolutely keep hold of it, because regulations change from government to government. So if we get another government, all this could change anyway.
And you said earlier on, before we came on this, that there's a sort of, from your research, there's a plethora of people serving notices to get tenants out before the rights kick in.
Yeah. It's, I think, again, with some landlords, I think it's the final straw for them. Is they've had to cop their fair share over the years, and I think it's just one final thing that they can just do without, depending on what stage they're at in their journey. But yeah, I think as of the 1st of May, there's no fault evictions. So if you've had potentially some minor issues with a tenant, you're thinking, this happens again, there's nothing I can do, those tenants are getting moved on. If landlords are thinking about selling up, you've got a much bigger market if the property is empty. So do that now.
Yep.
Or we're seeing a lot of landlords now increasing their rent because as of the 1st of May, you can only do it once a year. So they're wanting to do that now before that happens. So we're seeing quite a bit of movement. And for those that are remortgaging as well, they're making those changes now. So when the remortgage comes around, they've got market rent so they can get the mortgage they want. They're increasing the returns because at the end of the day, it is a business for them. So I see the pros and cons to both. It's another thing for people to overcome, but I think it's going to improve the standard of the landlords because you are essentially going to have to become a professional at what you do. It's going to hopefully increase the quality of properties. It'll increase the quality of conditions as well. So hopefully it has the desired effect. And like I said, that new a new breed of investor we're seeing come through might change things as well.
Do you think it'll increase the number of, if you like, corporate landlords like BlackRock and people like that, or institutional landlords?
Quite possibly. I think it becomes a little bit difficult for them because you lose the 6-month short hold tenancy agreement. It's periodic from day one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's forcing some people to look at the serviced accommodation route because normally you'd have a tenant for a guaranteed 6 months, then it'd go monthly after that. So for 6 months, you could kind of plan your investment. Whereas now they could serve notice after a month and they're gone. So you'll go through all that effort and they're gone. Or you could go down the serviced accommodation route and you could put a builder in there for a month or put it on Airbnb and treble, if not quadruple your returns. So I think it'll force people to look differently on what strategy they go with.
And I was just wondering, as you were speaking, whether or not the drive for, I love this picture that you had the landlords of the late 90s who were maybe getting a bit bored of it now, stroke, they've had the returns and they can't be doing this regulation. And then people putting the rents up. Ultimately, whilst there's supposed to be benefits for tenants in this, can you imagine that probably rents are probably going to go up, aren't they, to cover this risk?
Well, we've already seen it, to be fair, because whenever rates go up, landlords then put their rents up as well because their mortgage costs have gone up. So you want to make sure you're covering those. And you need to do it in order to get the mortgage in the first place. So it is a necessity for that reason. But ultimately, this is I'm a landlord myself. Like it is a business and it is an asset. So you want it to be producing an income for you. So if the market's telling you that you can put £50 a month on your rent, then of course you're going to do that. But yeah, we did see quite a spike in it happening when this got announced as part of the budget. So although it's quite relevant now because we're getting very close to the switch over, it's been happening for like the last 6 months, gradually, and obviously when inflation went up as well. Rent is another cost which went up with inflation as well, so that kind of pushed a spike in rents as well.
Yeah, because I suppose if you've got increasing rates, you've got more regulation, you've got more risk of people not being able to get out and the cost that might incur. Ones are going to be driving rent up, aren't they, to cover that eventuality?
Well, that's where it's kind of driving that shift for people is I have to stay on top of all these things. And then obviously with tax going digital now, so I believe you're going to have to start filing returns quarterly, not just annually. So any rent you declare has to go through a tax return. So you've now got more challenges in terms of compliance on actually being a landlord. Then you've got the tax compliance as well. So for those people that you would probably call an accidental landlord, where they might have inherited a property or somebody might have split with a partner and then moved in with someone else but kept that property, I think those sort of people are starting to reassess, like, is it worth me keeping hold of this for the hoops I have to jump through? So I think we might see potentially the death of the accidental landlord, but I think it will then drive the need for what you'd call professional landlords, people that want to build the portfolio or that's their main source of income.
And where do you think the growth is? Do you think it's in capital growth of the properties these days, or do you think it's in the rent and the returns on the rent? Or
the people we tend to speak to, they usually target the rent side of it because obviously houses do tend to go up in value. We live on a small island that's not getting any bigger. Population's getting bigger. We're running out of places to build. People always need somewhere to live. So houses do tend to go up in value, but the rate in which that happens is not guaranteed. So as long as you've got a tenant in there that is paying a rent, that rent and that profit is guaranteed. Although it might not be enough to get rich on, people focus on that, and then if it does go up in value, great, that's an added bonus.
Yeah.
Because you tend to see different areas kind of have their day as well. There's a big um, regeneration in Manchester with all the high rises, so loads of new build flats came to the market. There was lots of infrastructure and jobs there. That seems to have kind of had its day now, and it's starting to ripple out further afield. So unless you can predict that and get in early enough, you can't really predict where the rates, the increase is going to come from.
Yeah. Just going back to you and your business is obviously set up by yourself. I just wondered, have you got any experiences of like a sole entrepreneur? Like my projection is, from my experience, is that sometimes it can be quite lonely.
Yeah.
And, I'm just wondering how you experience that.
Yeah, it's I'd say it's got easier now, because when I first started, I was purely on my own. I mean, as you've heard, like my background was professional sport, straight into becoming a mortgage advisor. I'd never worked in any firm before, so I'd never seen what people you need, what roles need filling, that sort of thing. Or I'm here now, but I want to get there. I didn't see what the steps in between look like, so I kind of worked it out the hard way with a bit of trial and error. So it would have been nice to have. It's kind of had its pros and cons. That the good thing was I didn't learn any bad habits from being anywhere else. I did things how I felt they should be done, but I would have liked to have worked somewhere just to get a glimpse of how they did it. So that was probably the hardest. But I think as I've grown the business, obviously we've got quite a few like mutual friends, haven't we? Like Darren Peacock, he was amazing for me when I first met him.
Yeah.
I met him through a networking group. He worked in finance as well, but a different side of it. So he kind of took me under his wing in quite a number of ways, like opening doors for me, introducing me to people, kind of showing me how he does things. And then I'm a part of a few peer groups now as well. So as I've now got staff, and you're thinking there's a lot you can share with your staff, but there's some things that you'd keep to yourself as well. I've now got these peer groups where I can share those other things with them. And I'm quite fortunate there where they're all further along on their business journey than I am. So they've been in business longer, they've got more staff, they've experienced more problems. So I get to like pick their brains and say, I'm going through this. Like, did you ever have anything similar? They're like, oh yeah, we just did this. So that I've certainly got a great bubble around me now, which I didn't have at the start. My wife's been there from the very beginning. We've been together since we were 16, so she was there for my entire rugby journey, every step through the ups and the downs, and the same with business. And she will always listen. She knows quite a bit about rugby, but not the professional inner workings, and the same with business. So I used to run a lot past her, but then she couldn't take it so far. She was more just, I'll just let you vent at me, and then, but yeah, the biggest thing I've done is probably build like a network of peers that I can like lean on. So that's helped massively.
Because I would imagine like it's quite lonely in terms of people. Ultimately the buck stops with you in terms of making decisions, risk, and everything else. And people think, oh well, this guy's doing really well.
Yeah.
But like there's you working till God knows what time at night and putting the hours in.
You're like a duck on the pond, don't you? Like, you look really calm on the top, but your feet are going a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's I've realised like recently, like if I look at my friendship group now, majority of them are other business owners. I've not disowned my other friends. It's just we share so much more in common. Like when I played rugby, like all of my friends were rugby players because we all had the same time off together. We understood each other's struggles. Like we couldn't go out on a Friday and Saturday night drinking with our other friends because we were playing on Sunday. So we kind of like we got each other. It's a bit like when you meet doctors, like doctors marry doctors, don't they? Whereas now, like I've got like employed friends that I just couldn't have business conversations with because they just don't understand. They've never been in that position, and me worrying about payroll or my upcoming corporation tax, or I've got this regulation that's going to change how I have to run my business. Like they just don't understand. So they can listen, but you wouldn't really get much back. Whereas now, like because I've got these peer groups and a lot of the friends that I hang around with are other business owners because we understand each other and we have the same time off together. We have the same stresses. So that's something that's developed over the last 8 years as well.
You used the word struggles when you spoke about rugby. You just use stresses in terms of business.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering about the sort of pressures of an entrepreneur from a sort of well-being and mental health perspective.
Yeah, I think kind of why I wanted to work for myself anyway was um, when I played rugby was there's times where you feel a little bit helpless. So you might be injured. You can't do a great deal about that. You ultimately, whether you play on the weekend is the opinion of one person. So whether they think you should play or you're in form or I like you, you may or may not play.
Yeah,
So going through that for 12 years, then obviously the two redundancies where obviously I played my part in us getting relegated. It was a combined effort. Was anything I do from that point of view, it's either going to work because of me or in spite of me. I don't want to
yeah,
think that was somebody else's fault. So yeah, I think you take a lot on internally, which when it goes well, you're like, oh, that's great. Yeah, well done. I've done the right thing there. But then when things are difficult, you're like, oh, I wish I had somebody else along with me
yeah.
to shoulder some of this burden, maybe. But yeah, they're very different now. I feel like I can kind of like work my way out of any situation I get myself in now. When I played rugby, was you could do all the extras in the world, and you could come off the field and think you've had the best game possible. But if the guy in charge didn't agree, you weren't playing again next week. My critics now are my clients, so I've got different critics now, but there's a bit of crossover. But I feel like I've got a lot more power now.
Do you have a self-critic?
Oh yeah, I'm really hard on myself. Yeah, like we could do 30 cases in a month, and the one that gets declined is the one that will keep me up at night. But my other 29 clients were really happy.
Yeah,
So I think the day that you're satisfied and settled and not wanting to push for more, I think is probably the day you need to give it up.
hmm
So there's always things that I want to tweak now, but I'm just doing it in different ways now. But I love it. I mean, it was kind of the reason why I gave up rugby was the excitement and energy I had to get up and go to work at the back end of my career was way stronger than it was to go training.
yeah.
And I think the final thing was so I never played at Wembley in 2015. I didn't make the team for that one when Rovers made the Challenge Cup. We made it again in 2021 with York in the 1895 Cup. It's like the plate final, and I tested positive for COVID, so I couldn't play. So my two opportunities at Wembley, I couldn't make it for two different reasons,
Yeah.
but I wasn't really bothered. It was really strange. I was like, I'm missing out on an opportunity to play at Wembley, and I'm okay with it. And I was like, that kind of tells me everything I need to know. Is like, I think my rugby journey's finished now. I look back at it. I look back at it with fond memories. I'm quite happy with what I did, but I do feel like I got out at the right time because I was way more excited to see what I could do with this business and where I could take it. And I get way more excited about talking about business than I ever do about my rugby career. So,
So what would be your Wembley of business then, do you think?
oh God, you talk to different people, don't you? Because I think for me, the ultimate would be, does the business run without me?
Yeah.
But then I do worry about that day because then I'm like, well, what do I do day to day? But we all aspire to get there, don't we? And I think I'll just end up getting in the way. I'll just find something to do, and I'll be more of a hindrance than I will anything else. But yeah, I don't know. I think a bit like with what you guys do. There's like this industry awards, isn't there? So I think like maybe winning like one of the big industry awards for our advice, not like being the biggest, but being the best. And I think I'm enjoying the challenge of coming after some of the big boys locally. I'd rather be the best locally than nationally. I don't want to get to that level.
Yeah.
But there's a few that I'm after in Hull. I won't name them on the podcast,
No, no.
but there's a few that I'm after. And I see it as a bit of a David versus Goliath. Like, they're enormous. They've got the budget. They've got the in-house market. They've got everything. I want to topple them on a much smaller budget. A bit like what Hull KR have done. The little noisy younger brother in the city and topple the big boys. I want to do that, but on a business level.
Sounds like a fantastic goal.
Well, it gets me out of bed every morning. It gives me something to chase and to pursue. And we've got a fantastic team that we work with. Like they really are a joy to work with every day. And whether we're recruited really well or I rub off on them or a mixture of both, I don't know. But they take work really personally. It's like if a mortgage application gets declined, they're really upset about it, which is lovely to see. But yeah, we're getting there, but yeah, there's still a lot we want to do.
So I get a sense that you've still got to go, but you're enjoying the journey as well.
Yeah, it's I feel like I've got a new life now. Like when I played rugby, the only proper time you used to get off was the off season. So that would be like back end of September and all of October. So that was like your only real opportunity to go on holiday. Um, Depending on when your games were and stuff like that, you didn't really have much of an opportunity to go for a beer. Or I went on my first stag do when I was 31. So I'd retired by that point. I'd missed all my friends' stag do's. I'd missed all their weddings. Not had a summer holiday since I was 18, which I was happy to give those things up because I've got the memories of rugby. Now I have holidays. I've been on multiple stag do's. I got remarried, so I got married in America last year, and um, I'm able to do those things because I've got a business that pays me to do these things. But I've also got the freedom now as well. 35 now, and I'm asking if someone wants to go to a pub on a Saturday afternoon, but they've all got kids and responsibilities. And like, well, I can't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like I've got I don't feel 35, if that makes sense. I feel, yeah, I've got a new lease on life now.
Feels really positive.
Yeah, it's nice to be honest. Like, I mean, I don't have kids. I would love to have kids one day, but my only focus really, other than my marriage and my friends, is my business. So
Mhm.
I can spend my weekends thinking about it and what if we change this? What would that do? And can we do this from a marketing perspective and that sort of thing? So like, it does consume my life, but I love it, so I don't really see it as work.
So if you was walking along the street and you sort of bumped into 18-year-old you,
Mm.
what advice would you share with 18-year-old you?
Um, well, yeah, I don't know really. I was never one of those people that you meet some people, don't you? And they've got like this big lofty goal from day one. It's like they know what they want and they know what they can do. I was never really that person. I'm still not now, to be fair. I always look at like what's within arm's reach and I'll go get it. And then you're like, oh, another arm's reach is that one. And we'll just keep doing that. So like I never thought playing professionally would ever be on the cards, let alone playing 200 professional games and for my boyhood club and stuff like that. And when I set up the business, I wanted to work on my own. I wanted to just look after myself, do things on my own terms, earn enough money to live a comfortable life. Fast forward like 6 years, we've got like 6 members of staff and growing. We've got an office and stuff like that, and it's always changing. But I think I've always been a sponge like for information, and I would never say I know enough. So kind of like the peer groups I was talking about, I'm always like open to ideas. So my advice would be stay open minded, keep learning. I've read way more books in the last 5 years than I ever did in the 25 years before it. So yeah, keep learning, keep open minded, and just keep pushing.
It sounds very much like you're doing that.
Yeah, it's whilst it's fun, I'll keep doing that. Um, as you know, as a business evolves, your day to day changes, doesn't it? So it keeps it fresh for me. So yeah, I'm going from player to coach now, which is a strange transition, but that gives me something else that I now need to learn. So I'm learning about leadership and coaching and stuff, and um, like sales training because I've got like CMAP qualified advisors, but they need to learn about the products and how the best to guide a client and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's given me something else to focus on now.
Feels like you're in control.
Yeah, which is what I wanted. Um, Off the back of one person deciding whether I'm good enough or not when I played rugby, which again I was quite fortunate when Craig Sandercock came in. He just took one look at me and I had all the physical attributes that he wanted. Saw me in training for a couple of months and is like, he's got something. He's raw, but he's got something. So he'd given me like another 2 years contract. So I had 2 years to again learn and keep pushing. And I was fortunate that I had him. And then by the time we got to the end of his tenure, I was already in the first team and playing quite well. So when the next guy came in, I was already there. Um, and then that kind of fell off a little bit when I went to different clubs, whereas I'd then fall out of favour, which I'd then fall out of love with the sport, and then found what I do now, which I absolutely love. And it gave me that opportunity to have full control. So it's like, well, I'm gonna play today regardless because I'm picking me,
Yeah.
and only I can make this work. So you put yourself in like a high pressure situation where I've got nobody else to fall back onto because if I get this wrong, then I've got to fix it. So that stress then I think catapulted me into a great advisor, which then now teach to the other people. So Yeah, I don't think I'd ever give that control up now. I don't think I can do anything different.
I don't think you could ever be employed again.
Well, that again, that was kind of one of the things that made me give up rugby in the end, because I finished playing part time at York, so I'd go from 9 to 5. I was the boss. I'd make the decisions. I'd choose how we did everything. But then I got to York at 6 o'clock, and I'm getting told what to do, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this anymore. I know it needs to be that way because he's in charge and I'm the player, but I've had a year off where I've made all the decisions. I'd be at training. I'm thinking, I've got all these things to do tomorrow. Like, or if the training session was a bit naff, where it might be a drill that was designed for a different position, so I wouldn't really touch the ball very much. I'm like, these like 2 hours that I've been stood in the rain, I could have submitted 2 mortgage applications today, and I could have made X amount of money, or I could have got that off my caseload. But no, I'm stood here in the driving rain, shivering,
Yeah.
while these idiots are doing this.
Yeah, so you've got a real stark contrast there about, not being in control and being in control, and better things you could be doing with your time.
Well, that's it. And then obviously the Wembley thing came around, and I couldn't play, and I was like, oh, that's fine. I've got this to worry about. But I told the coach really early on. I think I told him in the March, so we played like a handful of games. The season finished in September. I told him in the March, just so you know, I'm retiring at the end of the year. And he kind of looked at me. It's like, well, why are you telling me now? And I was like, just so you know, if you pick me, great. I'll do my best for you. I've made a commitment. I'm going to see the contract out. But if you don't, I'm not going to be too upset about it. And if you think that I'm not bothered or I don't care, in the nicest possible way, I don't really. So I'm gonna enjoy these last 5 months. I've got 5 months left. I'm gonna enjoy being a rugby player for 5 more months. I'm gonna enjoy everyone's company. I'm gonna enjoy what this brings me. But I'm really happy to walk away at the end of it. And because everybody knew, I was able to use it as a promotional thing. So I announced my retirement, and I was like, "Oh, why are you retiring?" It's like, "Well, I've got this business, and I could like talk about business." And then I knew that last game of the season, that was my last game, so everybody could come to it. Got a nice little send off, and I just went off on my own terms. So it went as well as it could have done.
Earlier on, you says when there was picking and the guy took to you because of your physical attributes, remind me of your height again.
6'7", and I think at the time I was 115 kilos, so I was about 18 stone.
Wow.
So I remember actually, he'd come from Australia, a guy called Craig Sandercock, and it was relatively like, unknown. And he'd come from the NRL in Australia, which is like kind of like the pinnacle of our sport, like the Premier League over here. And the sport was changing. It had gone from like these big, sturdy guys that you couldn't move to just athletes across the field. So before he'd even like seen me run or do anything, everyone had like an interview in the off season before you came back for training. And I came in, I was like, not even played a first team game. I think I'd won the reserves player of the year before. And he's saying, so how much do you weigh? I was like, 115. He went, yeah, you won't play for me for 115 kilos. I was like, you've not even seen me run. Like, I could be the fittest bloke on the team, and like you're just instantly making this assumption. So I was like, I want you at 110 kilograms. So I was like, right, so I need to lose, what's that, 5 kilos? Best part of a stone, I need to lose. So I lost it in the off season. And I came back, and he was like, you're looking far too skinny. I was like, mate, what do you want? And then so then I was chatting to the conditioner, who's in charge of getting everybody fit, keeping you healthy, and all that sort of stuff. And I'm still really good friends with him now. And I was like, Paul, what do I do? He's like, ignore him. He knows nothing about your fitness, your strength, or anything like that. Just listen to me. I was like, okay. And he'd always he'd pull me aside every day. I was like his pet project. He's like, your arms aren't looking any bigger. And I was like to say to Paul, I was like, can we just throw some extra arm weights into my session? Because he keeps going on about my arms. He was like, don't listen to him. He'll be happy when you're playing well. Just do what I'm telling you. And then it came, and he was like, his detail was unbelievable. You had to pass his office to get to the gym, and he had a side door that you had to pass. So like I was on loan for most of the season because he wanted me playing against men, not like 20-year-olds. And I'd walk past in the morning, on Monday morning. I was like, oh, please don't open the door. Please don't open the door. And I'd hear his door open. I'm like, please don't be me. Please don't be me. He'd be like, Greeny. I'm like, oh, yeah. Come see me after. I'm like, oh. It's like, what is it? It's like, oh, I've got your video from the weekend. I want to go through it with you. So bear in mind, I only played 40 minutes. So I played like half a game. Video review with him would take 2 hours because he'd just watch clip after clip, go back, and he'd go like frame by frame. It's like, you want to be hitting now. I'm like, right, okay. And but then like he was telling me I'm playing really well, but then he's like picking all these things. And then when I started playing for the first team for him, like he was the same again. And I remember saying to him one day, it's like, if I'm playing that bad, like, why do you keep picking me? It's like, oh, you're not, but you can just be better. And that kind of stuck with me ever since, like, just staying on top of that. But um, yeah, he obviously seen something, and then it paid off. And I remember being like distraught when he got the sack, 'cause we had like a bit of a bad run. I remember ringing him, and I didn't appreciate him at the time because I was like, it's just I hate going to training some days because he just pulls me up on everything. He's always got a comment about how I'd not done this right and that right. But then when I started playing regularly and playing well, and I was getting my new contracts and stuff, I was like, that was why. So I appreciate it now,
Yeah.
but I didn't at the time.
Yeah. So your physical attributes, I can see how obviously they'd work in rugby.
Mm.
How does it work in the line of work you're in now?
I don't think it does. To be fair, I think the attributes I'd taken from rugby certainly help, which is that sort of level to detail
Yeah.
and learning what needs to be done to become the best, but then also staying the best as well. So I would always look at myself first, like why are things not working? Like what could I have done right? So now it's like with the staff, like was I clear enough? Did I give you the right instructions? Did I put you in the best position to do what you need to do? Or even with a client, like, oh, if they didn't understand, like, did I not explain that? Or did I not cover it? Um, if a case gets declined, did I miss something, like that sort of thing? And it'll always start and finish with me. But yeah, just learning that there's what real hard work looks like. It's like everybody thinks they work hard, but then there's people that are doing twice as much as what you are.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was at Castleford, I was only there for like a year, and it was the year after they'd won the league leader, so they made the grand final but lost to Leeds. And it was almost like a game of chicken. Like nobody wanted to come off the training field first because everyone would look at you. So Daryl Powell would do a training session. It was like 90 minutes, but everyone was out there for 2 hours and a bit because nobody wanted to be off because they'd be like, "You're not doing any extras. Like there's something you can work on. You're not going to do it." So he was always finding something to be busy at. So I just like latched on to Paul McShane. So I just do extra shuttles with him to get fit because he was like the fittest bloke I'd ever met. And there was always like a little skill you could do and stuff. So it was just learning stuff like that, really.
Just keep going.
Yeah, and I just think it's that. Did you ever read the story of like David Brailsford and the Great British Cycling Team? So he came in before the 2012 Olympics because like the cycling team was like nowhere near where it should have been, and he came in and he was like, "We're going to focus on everything and make everything 1% better." To where they tested the mattresses they slept on, what oil they used on the chains, what rubber they used for the tires, that sort of thing. And he said, even if we can just make everything 1% better, when you add all these things together, it's
Yeah.
going to make a huge impact. So now I can control all these things. I look at every aspect of the business and it's like, can we just tweak that?
Yeah,
Can we
absolutely.
just change that? So it's things like that I take now, which I don't think if I'd gone through rugby and met these sort of people, I wouldn't know what detail was.
Well, I imagine all those little tinkerings and 1% changes compound over time and make a massive difference.
And that's it. And I think it's just daft stuff like, well, what pillow I use, how's that going to make a difference? And it's like, well, if you sleep ever so slightly better, you're going to recover better. When you come to training tomorrow, you're going to be able to put more effort in. And imagine doing that every day, how
Yeah.
much extra effort you can put into training, or what food you put in your body. And it's like, well, my body doesn't really react very well to that, or I need more of that. And it's just, it does all add up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm conscious of time.
I don't even know how long it's been.
I have no idea whatsoever. It feels like a while. Is there anything that you want to say before we wrap up?
No, I think we've kind of covered everything, haven't we? I think it's nice to have these chats where you don't really get much opportunity to put stuff over on a quick social media video, do you? So it's nice to actually chat and talk about current affairs, but then also like my backstory as well. But no, I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much indeed, James.
No, my pleasure.
Thank you.